The Crones of Crookback Bog are extraordinary characters. It is unclear who they are, where they came from, and what forces they obey. Their motives are unknown, their desires are unknown, and the limit of their powers is unclear. One thing's for sure, they're evil and their appearance and actions represent everything that is repugnant to human nature. But for some reason, others honor and even love them. For some reason, people are sure that they owe everything to them. Yes, their appearance alone inspires disgust, but the tone of their conversation suggests that the Crones are absolutely confident of their power, and people feed this belief willingly. The Crones have existed in the Witcher world since the time when humans were not even heard of, but the information about them is minimal. Even Gaunter O'Dimm appears to the player as a more comprehensible character than these three sisters. But of course, behind every mystery there's an answer, and behind the mystery of the Crones of Crookback Bog there is one too. Let's try to find it. And as always, let us try to understand who these three powerful sisters really are. This is the Old Witcher. Before we begin, as always, we would like to thank our patrons for their support. Thanks to these guys, we are able to make videos on the Witcher universe regularly, almost every week. The support is motivating and helps the channel grow. But in any case, brace yourselves, it's going to get very interesting. Mythology. The image of the witch has been rooted in world culture for a very long time. The Middle Ages was the true dawn of, so to say, witchcraft. And as of now, there is a whole ton of legends and real stories about those times which stirred the blood to this day. However, we are not interested in the standard legends about witches. In the course of previous Bestiary videos, we have spoken a lot about them. First of all, we will pay attention to the number, to the fact that the Crones are exactly 3. Still, this number has too much significance for world culture and mythology and significantly narrows the circle of search for analogues of the Ladies of the Woods from The Witcher in our real world. The 3 witches first appear in Greek mythology. They are called the Grey and are sisters born from the incest of the sea god Phorcys and his sister Ceto. Their names are Dino, known as Dread, Enio, Horror, and Pamphredo, Alarm. They are eternal old women, the personification of old age, but they are known as beautiful and swans in appearance. Interestingly, they have 1 eye and 1 tooth among them, which they share. Probably the most famous trio of witches from myths and legends are the goddesses of fate, called the Moirae. The name of the first Moira is Clotho, and among the common folk, she's called the Spinner. She got her nickname because she spins the thread of human lives. The second sister's name is Lachesis, and her purpose is to determine human destiny. The name of the third sister is Atropos, or Atropos, and she's the inevitable fate of any human being. She's death, which cuts the thread of fate. The 3 witch sisters are also mentioned in Shakespeare's tragedy Macbeth, as well as in a number of lesser-known literary works. Some more details of the idea of a powerful female trinity are borrowed from the image of the triple goddesses by Robert Graves. In the English writer's work, the triple goddess is a great female deity. This deity combines the female forms of maiden, mother, and crone. It also echoes the image of the 3 main personae of any witch: the young and pure maiden, the strong and strict mother, and the wise but snide old woman. The image of the Crones of Crookback Bog was so interesting and memorable in particular because it was able to take a little bit of everything from the best representation of the 3 witches in world mythology, and at the same time added to these images a lot that is surprising and memorable. The ancient Greek Grey gave the Ladies of the Wood the image of ancient, incredibly old beings who can take on an appearance that is appealing to the human eye. The Moirae inspired the creators of the third Witcher game that witches should be powerful. One of them, the Weavess, even provided a name for a playable character. The difference is that while the Moirae weave threads of fate, the Weavess of Crookback Bog weaves only a carpet of human hair. The witch sisters of Shakespeare's Macbeth gave the Ladies of the Wood their evil nature and destructive power, and the image of the triple goddess is the basis of the Ladies of the Wood's unbreakable bond with each other. In addition to that, Weavess, Whispess, and Brewess took a lot of interesting details from the usual images of witches of the Middle Ages, to which everyone is used. It is worth highlighting the striking abnormality of their appearance. In the Middle Ages, witches were considered either too beautiful or too ugly. the former being young ladies, the latter old women. So in The Witcher, the ladies of the wood appear before the player either as the ugliest creatures that only roughly resemble humans, or as the most beautiful ladies at one glance at whom the average man loses the power of speech. Interestingly though, a path of sweets leads to the Crone's house, along which malnourished children in the village of Downwarren often walk by themselves. This is a reference to the gingerbread houses of evil witches and sorcerers, which are extremely common in world literature, animation, and cinema. In any case, one can dig into the history of the real world for a long time, but here it does not matter as much, for example, as when we try to find out who Gaunter O'Dimm really is. The connection of the Crones of Crookback Bog with world mythology is obvious, and the sources of inspiration of the creators also lie on the surface. Let us try to understand who the Crones of Crookback Bog are in the Witch's world. Gaming Universe. The entry in the Bestiary reads, "The isolated corners of our world harbor creatures older than humans, older than academies and mages, older even than elves and dwarves. The Crones of Crookback Bog are such creatures. No one knows their true names, nor what breed of monstrosity they in fact are. Common folk have given these three sisters the names Weavess, Brewess, and Whispess, and call the threesome the Ladies of the Wood, or simply the Good Ladies. The Crones act as the true sovereigns of Velen, whose inhabitants they help survive through harsh times in return for unquestioning obedience. They wield powerful magic, but one different from that of mages. They draw power from water and earth and are bound to the land in which they live. The Crones can hear everything that happens in their woods, predict the future, twist the threads of human lives, and bring blessings as well as curses. The Crones seem, for all intents and purposes, to be immortal. Magic elixirs keep them from aging and allow them to take the appearance of young women. These elixirs and their mystical ties to the swamps in which they live also give them supernatural strength and vitality. Let us start in order. As mentioned before, there are three Crones. Their names are quite simple: Whispess, Brewess, and Weavess. They protect the land in which they live, and in return, people from these lands are obliged to bring them special gifts. The first is the eldest sister, Whispess, and her gift is ears. On the way to the Crone's lair, necklaces made of these ears are strewn all along the way, and around the lands of the ladies there are plenty of these ears too. Through them, the Whispess hears every word in the lands under her control and can even whisper her instructions to those who can listen. There is even a cave of whispers in Toussaint, the description of which says that the witch Whispess once lived there. One day a prince came to her and asked her to brew a love elixir. However, she refused the unhappy lover, because of which she dragged the old woman out of the cave and burned her at the stake. Coming home in the afternoon, the knight suddenly began to hear strange whispering voices in his head. From that day on, he heard them constantly, and in time he simply went mad. It was said that it was the Whispess who took revenge on her murderer. It is unknown, though, whether the Toussaint and Velen Whispesses are the same person. What is clear, though, is that they were both powerful witches with remarkably similar skills and methods. The second, middle sister, is called Brewess. The gift for her was small children, and she got her nickname for a reason. This is how one begs help from the ladies. Find a child, young and innocent, and take it to Crookback Bog. Search out the lady's shrine. That is where the trail of treats begins. Set the child off on the trail, and it shall follow its sweet track and find the good ladies. The child will never want for anything ever again, for the ladies are kind and generous. Standing before their shrine, pronounce your request, and the good ladies will hear, for they see and hear all that takes place in their domain. If you made the offering as it must be done, your supplication will be heard. Brewess specializes in preparing delicious human meat and powerful elixirs, thanks to which the Crones of Crookback Bog have such great power and can live for a very long time, maybe even indefinitely. The youngest of the sisters is the Weavess. Her gift is human hair. She weaves amazing things out of them. In particular, it was the Weavess who created a magic tapestry of human hair. By touching this tapestry, people can talk to the ladies, for they do not often appear in their real guises. The ladies are the unconditional masters of their lands. People are extremely loyal to them, fearing, loving, and honoring them even despite the bloody sacrifices they often have to make. There are many reasons for that. Number 1, the Crones ensure a good harvest in lands under their control. Number 2, they are fair in their decisions. Number 3, they are all too quick to deal with anyone who goes against them. And number 4, they reward people who are loyal to them generously. Because of this, the Crones never lack small children or fresh ears and hair. The Crones do not possess instantaneous magic. Their territory is fortune-telling, incantations, potions, and curses. At the same time, they have complete control not only over the lands of bogs, but also over the monsters like fiends and chorts that live in those lands. Their lifespan is unlimited. Most likely, if the Crones continue to take their potions forever, they would also live forever. As for their origin, things are not quite clear. There is no exact data about their younger years. The only thing we can say with certainty is that they appeared on the continent before humans, are on good terms with some of the elves of the Ainel people, the reception of Imlerith during the Sabbath being an example, and know about the Elder Blood. For example, when tasting Ciri's blood, the Crones call it the blood of the traitress, and say that it reminds them of their youth. Ciri is the heir to Lara Dorren, who, if you look at her soberly, cannot be called anything but a traitor or a troublemaker. The elf woman who was destined to elevate the elven peoples at the expense of the Elder Blood simply gave no crap about everything, fell in love with an ordinary human, ran away with him, and put the precious gene at terrible risk. If the Crones remember the taste of that blood, it means they had fed on elves before the more primitive and rapidly breeding humans arrived on the continent. For all that, the ladies themselves cannot be categorized as any known race. Their connection to the very essence of the land of this world indicates that they have almost always been here. They were created by an even more powerful entity called She Who Knows. Folks say there were 4 at least. The mother, She Who Knows, the Lady of the Wood, came here from a faraway land, and since she suffered terribly from loneliness, she made 3 daughters out of dirt and water. A long time ago, the mother was the sole ruler of all of Velen. Her daughters brought her the people's requests and served as her voice. Each spring, sacrifices of grain, animals, and men were made to the Lady of the Wood on her special night. Yet as the years passed, the Lady of the Wood slipped deeper and deeper into madness. Her madness eventually spread over the land. Men took to abandoning their homes and setting out into the bog, where they became food for beasts. Before long, Velen was drowning in blood. The daughters saw their land nearing destruction and took it upon themselves to save it. When spring came once more, and with it the night of sacrifices, they killed their mother and buried her in the bog. Her blood watered the oak atop Art Serpent, and from then on the tree grew wholesome and hearty fruit for the people. As for the lady's immortal soul, it refused to leave its beloved land, and so the sisters imprisoned it. To this day, it lies trapped beneath the Whispering Hillock, where it thrashes about in powerless rage. It is not clear how credible is this text. It sounds too much like the propaganda of the Ladies of the Wood, for it is too unbelievable that the Crones were the saviors of Velen. It is more likely that the ladies simply got tired of their mother's power and decided to get out of her care. She Who Knows is the spirit that languishes in the roots of the old oak. The ladies cannot seem to control it fully and ask the Witcher for this favor. The imprisoned spirit, however, does not wish to perish. It tells Geralt a story that the spirit used to be a druidess from Velen who cared for these thickets. But then the Crones came and killed her, took over her forest, and imprisoned the spirit for eternal torment. This story does not seem at all plausible. First of all, Geralt has never heard of Velen druids, even though Ciri mentions them later. Secondly, the bones left from the body of this very spirit do not look like human bones at all. The spirit tries to deceive Geralt, either completely or partially, and the Witcher once again has to choose between 2 evils. The outcome of this choice will be very unpredictable. If the player finishes the spirit off, then all the children in the orphanage on the Crookback Bog will be eaten by the Crones. If She Who Knows is spared, she will save the children, but the Crones will blame Anna Strenger and put a terrible curse on her, turning her into a water hag and taking away her sanity. Well, let us say no to happy endings, I guess. In the example of Anna Strenger, we see that the ladies of the wood are connected to the world of demons. They made a deal with Anna, the guarantee of which was a terrible mark on her arm. Anna wanted to get rid of the child she was carrying, and the Crones promised to help. In return, they asked for much more. The child did not disappear from Anna's womb. The woman had a miscarriage. The Crones gave her not what she wanted, but what she asked for. They treated her like a thing, and they used her. Unlike most characters in the Witcher world, the Crones of Crookback Bog are one-note creatures in terms of being exclusively negative characters. Their only motivation is endless life for themselves and power over the lands of Velen. They have no particular principles, nor do they evolve over the course of the story. But even that does not stop them from being mesmerizing and terrifying at the same time. To embody everything that is repugnant to a normal person, to be unambiguously evil, even though they want to obey this evil, even though this very evil, at first glance, seems to be kind of good and decent. Perhaps it is not about the Crones, it is about people and the evil that lurks in their hearts. That is all for today. Do give us a like if you enjoyed this video and click on the bell so you don't miss the next installments of the Witcher's World Bestiary. Write in the comments about the moments in which the author could be wrong, with which you might disagree, or which are unclear for you guys. And also do support our work on Patreon or via direct sponsorship on YouTube. But anyways, thanks for watching and see you soon when the old Witcher speaks once more.